Yes, I want to train Muay Thai. I want Tom Po. I want to fight him. Teach me. What about this?
The movie begins by introducing Kurt, the loyal younger brother and trusted cornerman of Eric Sloan, who is the reigning heavyweight kickboxing world champion. Following yet another triumphant defense of his championship title, Eric finds himself swarmed by reporters and media members offering enticing deals to compete in Thailand, a world-renowned destination for elite kickboxers. Eric wonders about Thailand and asks his brother what makes it so special. Kurt explains that he understands kickboxing was actually invented there and that their local fighters are considered the absolute best in the world. Eric reacts with confusion, saying he thought kickboxing was invented right in the United States, but Kurt corrects him, explaining that Muay Thai was invented in Thailand. Captivated by the grand idea of proving his dominance globally, Eric's excitement reaches a fever pitch, and he wastes no time in making a spontaneous decision. Upon arriving in Bangkok, Eric begins to explore the local attractions around his hotel, feeling relaxed and ready for the match next week. He tells his brother not to worry because he is fully prepared. While walking around, Kurt warns him to watch his wallet around the local women, but Eric jokingly brushes off the warning. For the majority of their lives, the two brothers, Kurt and Eric, were raised separately. Kurt grew up under the care of their mother, while Eric lived far away with their father. However, fate eventually brings them back together as adults, and they now train side by side as a professional team. During their intense training sessions, Eric takes on the role of an experienced mentor because of his championship background, but he doesn't hold back at all in critiquing Kurt's fighting style. He scolds his younger brother with a very stern tone, pointing out that his kicks lack the necessary raw power to win real fights, calling his movements weak and ineffective.
Damn it, kid. Power. Power kicks.
In the locker room, as Eric gears up and puts on his gear for his upcoming fight, he suddenly realizes there is no ice available for his pre-fight preparation. Recognizing the critical importance of ice to numb his muscles, he asks Kurt to quickly run out and fetch a bucket of ice for him. Kurt points out that Eric has never fought against this specific martial arts style before and notes how different it is from American kickboxing. Eric dismisses the worry, stating that a punch is a punch and a kick is a kick, insisting they only came to fight and demanding his ice. As Kurt goes to get a bucket of ice, he becomes increasingly wary and frightened when he witnesses Tong Po, Eric's formidable opponent, unleashing powerful kicks directly onto a solid concrete pillar as part of his own intense warm-up routine. Filled with deep worry and fear, Kurt runs back to the locker room and pleads with Eric to reconsider fighting tonight, fearing his brother isn't prepared enough for a monster like that. Despite Kurt's heartfelt plea, Eric completely dismisses his concerns, exuding extreme confidence and determination while refusing to back down from the challenge. He laughs at the idea of a guy knocking down plaster with his legs, confident that Tong Po cannot move as fast as him.
Let's kick some ass. Come on. Okay, let's go, champ.
As the fight begins, Tong Po quickly establishes his absolute dominance in the ring, completely overpowering Eric and delivering a devastating knockdown blow in the very first round. Astonishingly, Eric musters up all his remaining strength to rise from the canvas, determined to show the crowd he's the best. He tells Kurt that Tong Po caught him off guard with a brutal elbow strike, realizing too late how dirty the local fighting style is. Kurt warns him that this is like a street fight, but Eric refuses to quit. However, as the fight goes on into the next round, Eric endures a relentless barrage of brutal strikes from the formidable Tong Po, leaving him completely battered, bleeding, and heavily bruised. Witnessing his brother's intense suffering and desperate to protect Eric from further permanent harm, Kurt decides to throw in the towel as a sign of official surrender. Yet, Tong Po's truly ruthless and evil nature is revealed as he callously kicks the white towel completely out of the ring, refusing to halt his relentless assault despite the surrender. With a vicious illegal strike to Eric's lower back, Tong Po renders the champion completely immobile on the mat. In a valiant and brave attempt to protect his fallen brother, Kurt steps forward into the ring, only to be mercilessly kicked over the ropes by Tong Po, with the force of the blow sending him crashing hard outside of the ring. Clearly outmatched and defeated, Kurt is left with no choice but to retreat, with his main focus now shifting entirely to his severely injured brother. However, to their utter dismay, the corrupt fight officials show absolutely little concern for the foreigners and leave them stranded outside on the street in desperate need of urgent medical attention. Kurt stands on the street screaming for a hospital, feeling completely helpless. Fortunately, Winston, a retired United States Army Special Forces soldier who happens to be in the crowd, comes directly to their aid. Recognizing their dire situation, Winston selflessly offers his assistance and agrees to drive them to the local hospital in his vehicle, becoming their unexpected and valuable ally in their darkest time of need. Once inside the hospital, Kurt anxiously seeks updates from the medical staff on his brother's condition. A caring nurse reassures him that the medical team is working diligently and doing everything within their power to help Eric, but she explains that they must await further evaluations from the lead doctor. The following day, the doctor delivers a heart-wrenching and devastating verdict to Kurt. As a direct result of Tong Po's merciless and illegal attack, Eric has suffered a grave spinal injury that leaves him completely paralyzed from the waist down. The doctor delivers the crushing news that Eric's ability to walk has been irreversibly lost forever, altering his life completely and leaving Kurt shattered by the immense impact of this tragic outcome. Consumed by a vengeful fury, Kurt turns to Winston, hoping for his assistance in tracking down Tong Po to exact street justice. However, Winston, concerned for his own safety and the safety of all Americans living in Thailand, flatly refuses to aid Kurt in seeking revenge outside the confines of the ring. He explains that taking matters into their own hands against a local hero like Tong Po could jeopardize the well-being of their fellow countrymen, warning Kurt that Tong Po is too valuable to the local crime lords and that going after him outside the ring will get them all killed. Winston's stark warning leaves Kurt with a disheartening and difficult truth. The only way to face Tong Po and get justice is within the structured confines of a sanctioned fight, and right now, Kurt is simply not good enough to survive. Filled with intense anger and a quiet determination, Kurt goes on a personal quest around the city to find a skilled trainer who can teach him the complex art of Muay Thai. However, his initial attempts are met with heavy ridicule, mockery, and laughter from the local fighters at the gyms, causing him to feel highly discouraged as he shouts that he just wants to train and fight Tong Po. Just when all hope seems lost, Winston, seeing Kurt's unbroken resolve, finally relents and reveals the name of the only person crazy enough to train an American. He tells him about Xian Xiao, a renowned, highly respected, and eccentric Muay Thai master living deep in the remote jungle. Excited by the new prospect, Kurt eagerly prepares to go meet this legendary instructor immediately. But Winston, being ever rowdy, loud, and adventurous, insists that they must enjoy a wild night of drinks at a local club before he introduces him to the master, making it a strict deal that Kurt cannot refuse. Inside the crowded strip club, amidst their drinks, Winston unexpectedly discloses a crucial piece of information to Kurt regarding the local underworld. He reveals that Tong Po's manager, a man named Freddie Lee, possesses significant political influence and holds a dangerous reputation for being both well-connected and completely ruthless. This heavy revelation underscores the massive magnitude of the challenge they are facing. However, this vulnerable moment also leads to a much deeper emotional bond between Winston and Kurt. Winston opens up about his own deep past regrets, sharing a sad story of how he previously failed to support his own brother, who had always been there for him in the military, which is why he wants to help Kurt now. The next day, Winston drops off Kurt at Xian's remote house in the jungle and leaves, warning him not to provoke the old master.
Don't you provoke him, you hear?
As soon as Kurt steps inside the quiet property, he unexpectedly finds himself ensnared in a hidden rope trap cunningly set for unwelcome visitors, leaving him hanging upside down. Suddenly, Xian appears out of nowhere, questioning Kurt's presence and true intentions with a sharp look. With complete honesty, Kurt explains his quest for a master to teach him the ways of Muay Thai so he can fight. However, Xian, harboring a deep dislike for arrogant and loud Americans, sternly refuses Kurt's request and tells him to leave. Unfazed by the harsh rejection, Kurt persists and reveals that it was Winston Taylor who sent him. Xian recognizes the name and mentions hearing about the American champion who lost badly the week before, to finally give Kurt a shot at a real match.
on training. Your brother. Remember?
What about this?
What am I supposed to learn here?
I'd like to see you dance.
Here? Really?
Afterward, a confused Kurt asks why those men tried to hurt him, and Sien jokingly tells him it was because Kurt insulted their mothers. A preliminary fight gets officially arranged between Kurt and another skilled Muay Thai fighter. Kurt continues to deeply impress the local crowds by defeating his opponent with relative ease, which ultimately forces Freddie Lee to grant Kurt the ultimate shot at Tong Po.
I want Tong Po! Give me Tong Po!
The following day, Winston and Eric go to visit Kurt at his training camp. Eric warmly congratulates Kurt on his recent victory, but he cannot hide the deep bitterness and sadness he feels for what has happened to his own body. Later, Kurt goes to train alone in the quiet forest and accidentally finds himself wandering into an eerie ancient Buddhist town, but he is easily able to find his way back safely when he spots Miley waiting for him. Upon Kurt's return to the camp, his brother Eric makes a heartfelt emotional plea, strongly urging him not to engage in the upcoming fight against Tong Po. Eric points out that Tong Po put him in a wheelchair for life, and he deeply fears losing his brother alongside him, begging him to just give it up and go home to America. Despite Eric's sincere efforts, Kurt remains completely resolute and stubborn in his final decision, determined to confront his brother's vicious attacker. In the midst of their emotional discussions, Kurt receives a highly foreboding and terrifying letter from Freddie Lee outlining the official terms of the championship match. It is revealed that they will strictly adhere to the brutal ancient way. This is a savage ancient method where both fighters wrap their hands in heavy hemp rope, coat them in sticky resin, and completely embed them with hundreds of shards of sharp broken glass, effectively transforming their fists into lethal, cutting weapons. Eric screams that Kurt cannot fight in such a barbaric match. Meanwhile, Freddie Lee, scheming to secure Tong Po's victory at all costs, orchestrates a dark plan to completely fix the fight to increase the financial stakes and ensure a massive payoff for himself. He borrows a staggering $1 million from Tolu, the powerful and ruthless leader of the local Thai crime syndicate. Freddie intends to use this massive borrowed money to bet entirely on Tong Po before the highly anticipated match takes place. Before the match can begin, a dreadful and horrific turn of events unfolds in the dark. Miley becomes a victim of Tong Po's absolute brutality, enduring a vicious personal assault that leaves her deeply physically and emotionally scarred. Simultaneously, Eric falls prey to Freddie Lee's sinister scheme as he is violently abducted from his quarters and held captive in a hidden location. The criminals intend to use the paralyzed brother as ultimate leverage to manipulate Kurt during the match. Freddie Lee officially seeks to blackmail Kurt, directly telling him that he must intentionally lose the fight and let Tong Po destroy him if he wants to see his brother alive. Desperate and filled with massive anguish, a crying Miley turns to Winston, pleading for his military assistance in locating and saving Eric. However, Winston finds himself torn and deeply hesitant to confront Freddie Lee's entire army. Miley begs him, stating they must not tell Kurt about the kidnapping so his mind stays completely clear for the fight, demanding that Winston help save Eric in secret. As the fateful day of the championship fight finally arrives, Kurt finds himself inside the ring faced with a heart-wrenching and terrifying ultimatum from Freddie Lee, who whispers that if he wants his brother alive, he must make the crowd happy and let Tong Po punish him for all the rounds. As the fight commences, Tong Po unleashes a relentless, bloody onslaught upon Kurt, subjecting him to a merciless barrage of heavy blows and cuts. Within the ring, the vicious punishment he endures at the hands of Tong Po leaves Kurt heavily bruised, bleeding and battered, with his physical strength rapidly waning with each passing moment, as he purposely refuses to fight back to keep Eric safe. Amidst this chaos outside the arena, Xian and Winston embark on a daring, dangerous rescue mission to find where Eric is being held. Determined to rescue him from the clutches of Freddie Lee's henchmen, they launch an attack on the top. Displaying immense courage, tactical skill, and physical strength, Xian and Winston engage in a fierce confrontation, completely overpowering Freddie Lee's armed men and successfully liberating Eric from his captors. Just as the final round of the fight is about to commence back at the arena, a massive surge of hope and relief fills the entire air as Eric is suddenly wheeled into the stadium entrance alongside a victorious Cien and Winston. The glorious sight of Eric standing safe beside his friends instantly ignites a renewed explosive sense of determination and fury within Kurt's heart. Realizing his brother is finally safe from harm, Kurt no longer has any reason to hold back his true power. Filled with a potent mix of deep emotional hurt, protective rage, and months of elite training, Kurt taps into his deepest inner reservoirs of strength. With his raw emotions fully fueling his every movement, he unleashes a spectacular, relentless assault on the champion Tong Po. He delivers a flawless flurry of precise, devastating Muay Thai kicks and high-impact punches. Each strike finds its mark with calculated, deadly precision. Kurt's relentless and powerful onslaught gradually turns the entire tide of the match, completely overpowering the brute force and arrogance of Tong Po. In a final, climactic moment, Kurt hits him with a spectacular finishing combination, knocking the monster out cold. Successfully avenging his brother's tragedy and winning the respect of the entire world.